I still couldn't believe he would ask me this. My husband of 4 years had insisted I would stay home during his father's funeral, my father-in-law's funeral. I couldn't understand why he would want to face this without me. However, understanding his grief, I decided to listen. I had expected him to be alone with his mother and siblings, but instead, I saw him with someone I would never have expected to be there. Seeing them together broke something inside of me. This was the most brutal form of betrayal. I snapped a photo for proof, crumpled up his father's eulogy, and left the scene. I felt the tears sliding across my cheeks as I called my lawyer. They had to make up the divorce papers so I could make a swift escape. Why hadn't Alex wanted me to come? Why did he invite them instead? And most importantly, had this been a one-time thing, or had it been going on for much longer? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Though Alex's parents were starting to get older, we would never have expected to go this fast. One day, his father seemed to be in pristine health. The next, he was on his deathbed. It had shocked me as it had done my husband. I knew his father was one of his best friends, so the news shook our entire household. However, I would never have guessed what it would result in. Though I didn't know his parents as well as I would have liked, I did love our time together during holidays and birthdays. I had never missed an important day for Alex or his parents. It had been the reason why Alex's request had been so strange to me. I first told myself that the reason for this strange request was how he grieved. I started to notice his nervousness the day before. I had thought it was because of his eulogy. Alex never was much of a public speaker, and I had heard and seen him practice it multiple times. The following morning, he kissed me goodbye, the bags under his eyes prominent. It was as much his fault as it was mine when I saw the piece of paper on the counter after he had left. I felt the stress come over me as I quickly grabbed the paper and ran outside. I quickly jumped in my own car, racing after him. The service would start soon, and I knew the stress he would feel if he found the eulogy missing from his pocket. Luckily, it wasn't long until I finally reached the place where the funeral would be held. I quickly parked my car, my attire not fit for a funeral, and quickly went to look for my husband. I was looking around the area but came up short. Where were they? Behind the funeral home, I stumbled upon a hidden pathway. Curiosity pulling me forward, I followed it to discover a secret garden, an oasis amidst the sorrow. As I took in the serenity of the garden, I spotted 2 figures at the far end. One was unmistakably Alex, his posture unmistakably familiar even from this distance. The other was a woman, her back to me, engaged in what seemed like an intense conversation with him. Dread bubbled up inside me. What was Alex doing here with her? I had seen this woman somewhere before. I was certain of it. But where? And why was she here in this intimate setting with my husband? Hiding behind a tall hedge, I took out my phone, I snapped a discreet photo of Alex and the woman, their heads bowed close, in deep conversation. Later, when I'd retreated from the garden and was safely ensconced in my car, I viewed the photo again. I tried to remember where I'd seen the woman before. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Alex had shown me a picture of her months ago. But why? I couldn't face them, not now. Without giving myself a second to rethink, I turned on my heels and swiftly made my way out of the garden. Every mile I drove away from the funeral home felt both like an escape and a journey into uncertainty. What was the truth? After a few minutes of collecting my thoughts, I took out my phone. My fingers trembled slightly as I scrolled to my lawyer's contact. "Hello, the voice on the other end began. Without hesitation, I started, "I need to know about starting the divorce proceedings." Moments felt like hours as I discussed the logistics, the protocols, and the paperwork. It was an unthinkable conversation, one I had never envisioned for us. As the call came to an end, reality settled in. I had just initiated the end of a chapter in my life. As I sat in my lawyer's office, the talk of assets, alimony, and agreements made it all feel so transactional. It was inevitable that our paths would cross, mostly in sterile, wood-paneled lawyers' offices. Every encounter was like a fresh wound, reminding me of the vast gap between us now. We barely spoke, and the air was thick with tension, each trying hard not to acknowledge the elephant in the room. There was something about Alex's demeanor that puzzled me. Every time I saw him, there was genuine confusion in his eyes, a kind of bewilderment that spoke of ignorance. The familiar ringtone announcing Alex's calls became a regular event. Each call went unanswered, each message unread. The message blinked on my screen, Alex's familiar words now feeling foreign. "Please, just one last meeting. We owe it to the life we built together," he wrote. I could sense the raw emotion behind every typed letter. I decided to meet him. As the hour approached, my palms grew sweaty, my heart raced, every fiber of my being acutely aware of the impending encounter. There he was, waiting, a bouquet of our favorite flowers in hand. Our eyes met, speaking volumes before words could form. "Alex," I began, "I need answers. Not for the sake of our past, but for my own peace." He looked deep into my eyes, the familiar glint now replaced with a watery sheen. "I've been at a loss, not understanding why everything crumbled so suddenly," he started, voice quivering. "I'm ready to share everything, to clear the shadows of doubt that have cast a pall over us." I needed to know. "The funeral, Alex. Who was she?" I asked. "That day seeing you with her, it shattered something inside me. I need to know her significance in your life." Alex took a moment, his eyes darting away, battling with himself. Taking a deep breath, he finally spoke. She's family," he began, the heaviness in his voice evident. "Not just any family, but a part of my life I never expected to encounter, a connection from my father's past." As the reality of his words settled, a realization dawned upon me, turning my world upside down once again. Alex's voice quivered. "She's my half-sister." The words hung heavy in the air, echoing in my ears. A flood of emotions overtook me. "From my father's past affair, long before he married my mother," he continued, his gaze fixed on the ground, avoiding my searching eyes. "When my father was on his deathbed, he shared this with me," Alex began, his voice filled with the weight of the confession. "He entrusted me with the responsibility of connecting with her, of bridging a gap that he regretfully created." His shoulders slumped, burdened by the weight of the secret and the responsibility it entailed. As the pieces fell into place, my heart ached with the complexity of the situation. I could see the pain in Alex's eyes, understanding the predicament he was in. Still, there was a lingering sense of betrayal. "I should have told you, I know," he admitted. "But how does one even begin?" "We've both made mistakes," I whispered, my voice reflecting a mixture of pain and understanding. He nodded, tears forming. We reacted based on our perceptions, without communicating. Our hands found each other, a tentative connection in a sea of emotions. While the revelations provided some clarity, the damage was done. We sat together hand in hand, contemplating a future that was now blurred by past actions and secrets. Would our relationship find its way back, or had the chasm grown too vast? Only time will tell.